Welcome everyone to one of the most unique, bizarre, and cool car collections in the entire world. This is Dezerland in Orlando, Florida, and it's just part of one guy's car collection. Now, this is, of course, not just any guy. This is Michael Dezer. He is a billionaire that just loves cars. And he's got some rather unique tastes, like the world's longest car, for instance. And right behind that, you've got a car that once belonged to Kate Middleton, or was believed to have belonged to her. You get the picture. It's all over the place. Now, this museum is split up into a bunch of different themed rooms, and my favorite one right off the bat is going to be the movie car theme room. Now, it's worth mentioning at this point in the video, I'm not going to showcase every single car in here because there's a lot. There's something like 2,000 plus cars in the entire collection itself, and I definitely recommend that you go check this place out for yourself to get the full experience. This is only going to do so much, but I'm going to try my best. Anyway, back to the movie car and TV car room. What's really cool about most of these vehicles is that they are going to be legitimate licensed vehicles from all of these different production houses. The collection in this room is just absolutely off the wall in every good way possible. In several places, not just in this room, they'll have full-size figurines like Inspector Gadget, Michael Jackson, and several others. But it's really not just the obscure stuff. They've got like a DeLorean from Back to the Future in here, and then outside they have a lot of cars from the Fast and Furious franchise as well. Now, moving on to the main hallway areas, no matter where you look, whether it be in front of you or up above, there's going to be decorations or cars of some sort. There are scale models of planes and actual planes hanging out in here. That's just so cool. Back to the themed rooms, here we have like a brass era car room, and there's one of the best micro car collections in all of North America. This is actually a very comprehensive collection of micro cars. And not every collection in this museum revolves around four wheels. There's actually a very comprehensive Vespa and scooter collection in here as well. Moving on to this room full of French cars, there's several French cars that I've never seen before here in the US in this room. It reminds me a lot of the Land Motor Museum in Nashville, Tennessee. There's also a room where on one side you have Italian cars and on the other side you have German cars. And take a look at this Beetle. Something looks funky. It's rear-engined. And then next door you have these British cars like Bentley and Rolls-Royce. And then you have things like this. I'm not entirely sure as to what it is. You'll have to let me know in the comments. On to a couple of rooms with more themed decor like this Art Deco lounge. There are all of these open-top cars from the 20s going into the 30s, and they're absolutely gorgeous, and everything is trimmed, prim, and proper. The next room over is a room full of Imperials and Chrysler products. It's clear to see that Mr. Dezer likes himself a good mix of Americana. But then to break everything back up, you have a room that's just chock full of oddballs and oddities. There's like this wildly modified Honda Accord that you'd see in like the old Nopi days. There's a couple of pace cars as well as some old school muscle cars. And then this rail buggy, for instance. And then sitting outside of this room, there's a couple of replica cars from the movie Cars, as well as this thing, a Carrera GT. That's not a Carrera GT, it's actually a Porsche Boxster. Then moving on to one of the coolest collection of Batmobiles that I have ever seen in person. And I've been on the backstage studio tours for Warner Brothers and seen some of these cars that were used in the films. But I don't think I've seen as many unique Batmobiles and memorabilia as I have seen here at this museum. It is absolutely thoroughly impressive. Moving on from the Batman exhibit over to another two-wheeled exhibit. There's a lot of really cool motorcycles in here as well. There's a couple of trikes hanging out in the middle of the room with what look to be car engines strapped to them. And then you have one of the very few that I've ever seen in person, a Harley V-Rod. And then take a look at this. I had absolutely no idea that Maserati built motorcycles, but they did. From this one on to the next next exhibit, more awesome Americana, this one being from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Just really cool American cars all around the room. Also, all of the vintage signage on the wall gives me old school American pickers vibes. Also, on the outside of this one, there was this beautiful blue Corvette. And I normally don't point out Corvettes like this, but the paint was too perfect to not. Continuing the American theming, there is a Thunderbird exhibit. And this is not old Thunderbirds. This is all the newer generation Thunderbird. Kind of one of those cars with a cult following. And speaking of a cult following, check out this Aztec from Breaking Bad. The last exhibit I want to highlight here is in the back. It's the military pavilion. And boy, there's a ton of military cars from all over the globe. My favorite is one of the amphibious vehicles that stormed the beaches of Normandy. It was really, really cool to see. But there's tons of other vehicles from Europe, Asia, South America, and so on all throughout this exhibit. And they've even got some homebrew stuff like this Cadillac plane tank. Well, that's going to be the end of the video. Be sure to like this video if you did like it. Comment down below what your favorite exhibit or car was, and be sure to subscribe. See ya.